Sapphire Tremblay has done exactly what she was supposed to do. After tricking her only competition into leaving, she's won the boy, the crown, the ability to keep her affinity. But life within the castle is not what it appears to be, and she's quickly wrapped up in a sinister secret spanning decades. With both her life and the life of the girl she's in love with hanging in the balance, she's now fighting for far more than just a crown. Luckily, she's not all she appears to be either. A penchant for growth is still one giant childhood friends to enemies to friends to childhood crushes, back to enemies to friends to lovers trope, masquerading as a book, except this time they spend even more time talking about their feelings than actually moving the plot forward. It's still told in two POVs, but this time Sapphire's is front and center because it's always been her story to save or destroy, for better or worse. Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Heir's Lair. I'm your host, Jonathan Taylor. Today's video, as you perhaps might have been able to guess, is another review, and this time I am reviewing the sequel to the book that I reviewed last time. Namely, I'm reviewing A Penchant for Growth by Alex Anonymous. To the people who have skipped straight from that review to this one, I am sorry to tell you that the synopsis I just read pretty much spoils the ending of that last book. That being said, that book is still worth a read, because all the steps that led to that ending are still intriguing in and of themselves. So from that perspective, that book is still very much worth your time and attention. As for this book, well, the TLDW for this review is, it does a lot of things a sequel should do. It answers a lot of the questions that that book leaves open, and it expands the characters and their arcs in in meaningful and simple enough to follow and understand ways. Simple enough ways that are also that also utilize the elements within the setting. It doesn't do so cleanly or without introducing any of its own faults, but for the most part, it is still a noteworthy read, and one that is definitely worth your while. For those of you who want a little more detail on the aftermath of the competition between Offer's Pet and Offer's Self-Insert, well, this is what you're about to get. The story of A Penchant for Growth starts right after the ending of the last one, I'm going to say a few hours later, as to the victor go the spoils, and Sapphire is crowned a new prospective queen, or queen apparent, of this island kingdom. However, heavy is the head that bears the crown, and she finds herself in a dangerous social game where she has to leverage her demeanor, her ability, her time, and her presentation in order to both achieve her own goals and to make sure no one else prevents her from achieving them. During her quest, she is assisted by her former competitor B, as well as an unlikely but deceptive ally in the man she is promised to, Prince Damien. That being said, what can I say that really distinguishes this book? I'm going to start with what I've already mentioned, the TLDW, namely all the ways in which it expands upon both the setting and the story in general. Which I have to say, that is quite a sizable list, if I may say so myself. For one, gone is the melodrama that quite heavily characterized the first book. Alex now has a better idea of what the various attributes and qualities of each character within her story are, and is therefore better capable of utilizing them to make both the characters as well as their interactions distinctive. And I don't just mean the leads. Pretty much every character, even if they don't really have names, has an established personality and an established demeanor that shines through in a lot of the things they do, making the quite a bit more numerous dialogue scenes within this book that much more interesting and that much more important to read through. The story is still told from two POVs, only this time Sapphire's POV tells the present story and B's POV tells the past story. Still, both of these POVs do a great job in expanding the all the knowledge available to the readers about the setting, and also at expanding the characterization of all the people who inhabit it. It is very well done, and I particularly have to laud Alex for all the development they were able to give B's family, who come across as that much more alive and that much more easy to idealize, whereas in the first book they were just generically nice. Another thing that is a notable improvement over the predecessor is the plotting. Alex is this time better capable of utilizing the limited perspective and pushing the readers along the same ride as Sapphire, and as she is navigating this deceptive social web that has been spun around her, making the reading experience not just more engaging and more exciting, but also quite a bit more immersive, if I may say so myself. Another thing of note is the way the magic system of the story has been expanded upon. While affinities appear randomly, they at least appear to be bloodborne, meaning they can be transferred, or meaning abilities can be transferred or transfused, if you will. And indeed, it is such a transfer that takes up a significant part of the plot. Let's say that. There is a magical artifact involved in the transfer as well, but the why and the how are not particularly well explained, if I may be completely honest. I could speculate, but I have no way of knowing whether or not I'm just talking out of my ass. While I appreciate, however, the details revealed about the magic system, they do open up quite a few more questions. Questions that the book itself unfortunately leaves unanswered. Questions such as, do people on this island kingdom or in this island kingdom know that blood types exist? And if they don't, well, what kind of workaround is in place to make sure that the medical problems associated with transferring blood of a different type to a person don't occur? Like, does everyone on the island somehow have the same blood type? Or do they not transfer all of the blood? Do they only transfer some of it, the blood component that holds the affinity? Assuming, even assuming there is just one specific blood component that carries the affinity, how would the people within the setting have found out about it? How would they have isolated it? And how would they be able to transfer it from an affinity holder to a potential affinity holder? Like, how does this pre-industrial society have a 20th century level understanding of hematology? That's something I really want to know, and it is something that this book doesn't really seem to have considered. I think Alex really wanted to up the stakes for the sequel, but didn't really consider what said upping of stakes would actually entail. Another thing I have to say I found somewhat disappointing is one unaddressed criticism I've had about the previous book, namely the fact that there are various points where it uses modern lingo or modern turns of phrase, even though this society is, as I've already said, pre-industrial. There isn't, and I don't really see people within such a setting talking in the way that she is, or maybe not in general talking like that, but I don't really see them using some of the turns of phrases that she or they sometimes employ. I am and whenever that happens, I'm taken out of the story. It breaks my immersion. I know this might make me seem petty, but I have to rate this book based on my experience reading it, and that is something that affected my reading experience. Overall, while I have to say that there are some flaws with this book, it is in many ways a notable improvement over its predecessor. My final rating for A Penchant for Growth is a 3 out of 5. It's the same rating as its predecessor, but if I were to compare them head to head, the sequel stands out. And yeah, that was my review. Thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and maybe even share this video wherever you think other people will like it as well. If you have anything you'd like to add to any part of what I just said, the comment section awaits your input. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. My own book, Heir to the Emperor The Next Generation, is available at most major book retailers under a master link in the description down below, right past all of my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to do so. Until next time, I am Jonathan Taylor, and this has been The Heir's Lair.